My name is Callie Nguyen. I was once an engineering student sleeping under a bridge while pregnant with twins, after the man I loved tried to erase me with a $10,000 check. Today, I'm the founder of a tech empire that saved thousands of premature babies with algorithms I wrote while pumping breast milk at 3 a.m. Sounds impossible? Let me tell you how it happened. Before I share my story, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Hit like if you've ever made it through something hard, and subscribe if you believe family is who you choose, not just who you're born to. Trust me, you're going to want to hear what happens next. The coffee grounds stuck to my fingers as I wiped down the espresso machine for the third time that morning. My hands moved on autopilot. Rinse, wipe, polish, while my mind replayed last night's conversation with Jasper. Or rather, the lack of conversation. I need you to understand something, Callie. His voice had been clinical, like he was presenting quarterly reports to his board. This situation, it's not viable. Situation. That's what he called the life growing inside me. I'd met Jasper Cole 9 months ago at a tech conference where I was working the coffee cart. He'd ordered a cortado, then lingered by the counter between sessions, asking about the espresso blend, my engineering studies, why I was on hiatus from school. Most men in $2,000 suits didn't notice the barista. Jasper noticed everything. "You're wasting your potential," he'd said after learning about my leave from UW's engineering program. Financial constraints are solvable problems. Everything was a solvable problem to Jasper. Even me, apparently. The bell above the cafe door chimed, pulling me back. My shift manager, Marcus, appeared at my shoulder. "Gwen, there's been a complaint." My stomach dropped. "What kind of complaint?" "Anonymous tip about health code violations. Said you've been compromised." His eyes flicked to my still flat stomach. Only Jasper knew. Only Jasper and whoever he'd told. "That's ridiculous." "I'm sorry. Corporate says I have to let you go, effective immediately." I untied my apron with numb fingers. 3 years of perfect attendance, countless doubles covered, and it ended with a phone call. As I walked out, my phone buzzed. An email from my roommate. "You need to be out by tonight. Found someone who can pay full rent." The February rain hit my face like tiny needles. I had nowhere to go. No job, no home. 23 years old, with a mechanical engineering brain and a babies, the ultrasound had shown yesterday, growing inside me. My phone rang. "Jasper, did you get my email?" he asked without preamble. I hadn't checked. My fingers shook as I opened it. A PDF attachment. Termination agreement in bold letters. A check for $10,000 if I agreed to resolve this matter independently and maintain absolute confidentiality regarding any past associations. "This is your baby," I whispered. "Alleged baby. And I have a fiancé now, Senator Morrison's daughter. You understand what that means." I understood. I was the problem to solve. The bug in his perfect code. "I won't sign anything." "Then you'll get nothing." The line went dead. Standing under the awning of a closed shop, rain pooling at my feet, I pressed my hand against my stomach. Inside me, 2 hearts beat in rhythm. 2 futures I refused to let him erase. A man in a Seahawks cap stood across the street, pretending to check his phone. He'd been outside the cafe earlier, outside my apartment yesterday. Jasper's insurance policy, making sure I disappeared properly. I turned down an alley, then another, losing him in the maze of Seattle's downtown. By the time I reached the Fremont Bridge, my jacket was soaked through. Under the bridge, a small community of tents and tarps created a village of the forgotten. "You lost, honey?" A woman's voice, accented with Mexican warmth. I turned to find a woman in her 50s, gray streaking her black hair, wearing a pristine white sweater despite living rough. The words wouldn't come. What was I? Homeless? Pregnant? Abandoned? "Scared," she finished. "I can see it. Come, the rain's getting worse." She led me to a blue tarp stretched between shopping carts, creating a dry space. Inside, battery lanterns cast warm light on organized supplies, blankets folded with military precision, canned goods arranged by type. "I'm Lucia," she said, handing me a towel. "Former obstetrician. Before," she waved at her surroundings. "Life happened. Callie, former engineering student, current." I touched my stomach. Her eyes sharpened with professional interest. How far along? 14 weeks, twins? Dios mío, and the father? Thinks I'm a problem to debug. She made a sound that transcended language. Disgust, sympathy, and fierce protection rolled into one. Men who see people as problems never become fathers. They only donate genetic material. That night, wrapped in a blanket that smelled like lavender despite everything, I wrote in the notebook Lucia gave me. Day 1. You're still here, still growing, still mine. I promise you'll know. Your mother didn't disappear. She became invisible to build you a universe. The first week under the bridge taught me that dignity isn't about addresses. Lucia showed me how to stay clean using the library bathroom, how to blend in at the food bank, how to make a single meal stretch across a day. The baby needs protein, she said, dividing her own portion of beans. Babies, she corrected, feeling my belly with practiced hands. Strong heartbeats, but her frown deepened. What? Your cervix feels short. Have you had any cramping? I had, but attributed it to stress, to sleeping on concrete, to my body processing betrayal. Shortened cervix with twins means high risk for premature labor, Lucia explained. You need progesterone shots. Bed rest. Bed rest? I laughed bitterly. Which bed? She didn't smile. This is serious, mija. Those babies could come too early. Too early. Everything in my life felt too early. Too early to be pregnant. Too early to be alone. Too early to understand that love could wear a $10,000 suit and still be worthless. The community under the bridge operated on unspoken rules. Share what you can. Don't ask about before. Watch out for each other. Maria, who'd been a teacher, helped me apply for emergency Medicaid using the library's computers. James, a veteran with hands that shook except when he played guitar, sang lullabies when the baby's kicking kept me awake. You writing again? Lucia asked one night, seeing my notebook. Letters to them. For someday, she nodded. My daughter. I wrote her letters too. When ICE took me, when I couldn't practice medicine anymore, when I lost our house, she never got to read them. Where is she now? UC Berkeley, pre-med, thinks I'm dead. Lucia's voice carried no self-pity. Better that than knowing her mother lives under a bridge. You could reach out. With what? Pride doesn't buy textbooks. Love doesn't pay tuition. I send what I can through her Tia, anonymous. I understood then that mother love could mean becoming a ghost if it helped your children live. Week 3 brought complications. I woke to wetness between my legs. Not blood, thank God, but fluid. Lucia's face went grave. Your cervix is opening. Those babies want out. It's too early. 20 weeks is fatal. Yes, we need to get you to a hospital. The ER at Harborview was bright chaos. Lucia coached me through intake, translating my symptoms into medical urgency that got attention. The triage nurse's expression shifted from routine to concerned as Lucia rattled off terms. Incompetent cervix, premature rupture, twin gestation. Insurance? The clerk asked. Emergency Medicaid pending. Lucia's lie came smooth as truth. She qualifies. Process her now. Bill later. They admitted me. The high-risk OB, Dr. Chen, didn't mince words. You're dilated to 2 centimeters. These babies are trying to come, and they won't survive if they do. So stop them. We'll try. Strict bed rest, medications to stop contractions, steroid shots for their lungs in case. She didn't finish. In case they came anyway. In case 20 weeks became their entire lifetime. That night, machines monitoring 2 heartbeats, I bargained with a god I'd forgotten. Let them stay inside. Let them grow. Take anything else but let them live. Lucia appeared at dawn with coffee from the good cart outside. How are we? Scared. Good. Fear means you care. Care means you'll fight. I got them into this situation. No. Her voice cut sharp. A man who sees humans as inconveniences got them into this. You're getting them out, fighting biology itself to give them time. The next contraction hit like a fist. The monitors screamed. Nurses rushed in. Dr. Chen's face appeared above mine. We need to discuss options. Baby B is showing distress. If we can't stop labor. You stop it. I gritted through another contraction. Whatever it takes. There's an experimental protocol. Cervical cerclage, basically sewing your cervix shut. High risk with twins this far along. Do it. The success rate. Do it. As they wheeled me to surgery, I pressed my hands against my stomach. Stay inside, please. It's dangerous out here. Give me time to make it safe. The surgery worked. Barely. Each day became a victory measured in heartbeats sustained, grams gained. I memorized their rhythms on the monitor. Baby A, steady, strong, reliable. Baby B, faster, fluttering, fighting. Like their mama? Lucia said during one of her daily visits, refusing to follow anyone's timeline. She was the only visitor. Jasper had made sure of that, I learned later. Told mutual friends I'd moved back to Vietnam. Told colleagues I'd dropped out. Erased me from every shared space. But in room 342, I existed. My daughters existed. And that was enough. Week 29 arrived with November snow and chaos. I woke to pressure so intense it stole breath. The cerclage had held longer than anyone expected, but biology has its limits. It's time, Dr. Chen announced after checking me. The stitch is tearing. They're coming today. Today. At 29 weeks, when their lungs were barely formed, when their eyes couldn't process light, when every system in their bodies needed more time. The NICU team assembled like a pit crew. Incubators ready, ventilators prepared, tiny masks that looked like doll accessories but would determine life or death. I want to see them, I said as they prepped me. No matter what, I want to see them. Lucia squeezed my hand. She'd badge bluffed her way in claiming to be my aunt. You will? They're fighters, like their mama. Baby A came first. 2 pounds, 3 ounces of fury. She screamed, tiny, kitten-weak, but a scream nonetheless. Alive. That's good, Dr. Chen said. Crying means breathing. Baby B took longer. Silent. 1 pound, 11 ounces. The NICU team worked with practiced urgency, voices calm but hands moving fast. Too fast. Come on, little one, someone murmured. Then, a sound like a bird's chirp, weak but there. Got her, the neonatologist announced. They whisked both away before I could touch them. Standard protocol, Lucia explained. Stabilize first, bond later. But I'd felt them move inside me for months. I knew them by their kicks, their hiccups, their rhythms. Baby A, who danced at 3 a.m. Baby B, who got hiccups after every meal. The NICU was another world. Machines breathing for babies too small to manage alone. Alarms constant as tiny bodies forgot basic functions. Breathe in, breathe out, pump blood, repeat. Nguyen twins? A young resident approached. I'm Dr. Martinez. I'll be following your daughters. How are they? Baby A, we're calling her twin A in the charts, is stable. Good oxygen saturation. Baby B, he hesitated. She's struggling. Her lungs aren't responding well to the ventilator. I shuffled to their incubators, still bleeding, still torn, held up by Will and Lucia's steady arm. My daughters lay in plastic wombs, more tube than baby, but alive, still alive. Can I touch them? Through the ports, gently. My finger found baby A first. Her entire hand couldn't wrap around my fingernail, but she gripped with surprising strength. That's Lana, I whispered, peaceful warrior. Baby B's skin was translucent, showing every vein. Her chest rose and fell out of sync with the ventilator, fighting the very thing keeping her alive. Eva, I named her. Life, because you will live. Days blurred. I slept in the NICU waiting room, showered in the family bathroom, lived on vending machine coffee and cafeteria charity. Lucia brought real food when she could, sat with me during the hardest hours. Day 10 brought the conversation I'd dreaded. Eva's not improving, Dr. Martinez said. Her brain scans show bilateral hemorrhaging, grade 4. What does that mean? Severe bleeding, high chance of cerebral palsy, developmental delays if... He paused. We need to discuss comfort care. You mean letting her die? Redirecting efforts toward comfort rather than cure. No, Mrs. Nguyen. Miss and no. The statistics show some babies survive. Some, not none. He pulled up charts on his tablet. The quality of life will be hers to determine, not yours. That night, I studied those charts myself on Lucia's ancient laptop. The NICU had a patient portal, poorly secured, I noticed. My engineering brain, dormant for months, flickered alive. The data looked wrong. Eva's numbers didn't match the dire predictions. I dug deeper. The algorithm analyzing blood gases, predicting outcomes. It had flaws. Bad flaws. It weighted certain factors too heavily, created feedback loops that painted bleaker pictures than reality. "What are you doing?" Lucia asked, finding me hunched over code at 3 a.m. "Finding why they're wrong about Eva. Mija, sometimes we must accept." "Look," I showed her my analysis. "The system overcorrects for birth weight in micropreemies. It's not considering her improvement trend, just comparing to term babies." Lucia studied the screen. "This is significant. It's killing babies. Doctors trust these predictions, withdraw care based on them. What will you do?" "Fix it." I typed until my eyes burned, reran analyses, built new models. When Dr. Martinez arrived for rounds, I handed him printed pages. "Your algorithm is wrong," he frowned. "Excuse me?" "The predictive model, it's got a recursive error in the weight calculations. Eva's actual prognosis is significantly better than what you're seeing." "Are you a data scientist?" "Engineering student, but math is math." He studied my work, frown deepening, then grabbed his phone. "Get Chen and the IT director, now." The hospital's IT director looked like he'd swallowed glass as he reviewed my findings. "This can't be right. We paid $3 million for this system." "Payment doesn't equal accuracy," I said. "Your vendor has been weighting micro-preemie data wrong for 18 months. Every baby under 1,000 grams got pessimistic projections." "If this is true," Dr. Chen's face had gone pale. "How many families were counseled toward comfort care based on false data?" "I count 17 in just this NICU," I said quietly. 3 withdrew support. Silence fell like lead. 3 babies who might have lived. 3 families who made impossible choices based on lies dressed as statistics. "We need independent verification," the IT director insisted. "Then verify it. But while you do, stop using these projections for care decisions." They brought in consultants, data scientists, ethicists. All reached the same conclusion. The algorithm had a fatal flaw, and I'd found it while sleep-deprived and desperate. Eva's care changed immediately. More aggressive ventilator support, different medications. The improvement was measurable within days. Her oxygen needs decreased, brain bleeding stabilized. "I owe you an apology," Dr. Martinez said, "and possibly my career. I nearly... You trusted your tools. Now you know better." He studied me with new interest. "Have you considered health informatics after your engineering degree?" "I'm a little busy keeping my daughters alive." "The offer stands. We need people who see what others miss." Lucia brought dinner. Real pasta from the Italian place that gave her leftovers. "You saved more than Eva today." "I got lucky." "No, you refuse to accept their truth. That's not luck. That's revolution." Week by week, my girls grew. Lana graduated from ventilator to CPAP to cannula. Eva fought harder but followed the same path. I tracked every gram gained, every milestone crossed. First time opening eyes. First time breathing alone for a minute, then 5, then an hour. The laptop became my lifeline. Between kangaroo care sessions, skin-to-skin contact that regulated their temperatures and heart rates, I studied. Not just for my abandoned degree, but for them. Medical coding, hospital systems, the architecture of healthcare that had almost failed us. A message appeared in my LinkedIn inbox one December night. Zane Crawford, Chief Technology Officer at MedTech Solutions. "Ms. Nguyen, your analysis of our NICU algorithm saved lives. I'd like to discuss how you might save more. Can we meet?" I almost deleted it. Another tech bro wanting to monetize tragedy. But something made me respond. "My daughters are still in NICU. I don't leave. Then I'll come to you. Name the time." He arrived the next afternoon. Jeans and sneakers, not the suit I expected. "I'm not here to recruit you. I'm here to apologize. That algorithm was my team's design." "Then you killed 3 babies." He flinched. "Yes, and I'll carry that forever. But you found what we missed. I want to understand how." Desperation. "Your algorithm would have killed my daughter, so I had to prove it wrong." Most people accept expert systems. Most people aren't engineers with nothing left to lose. He studied Eva through the incubator. "She's beautiful. She's alive, thanks to stubbornness, not your system." "What would it take to fix it? Really fix it, not just patch. Rebuild from scratch, include edge cases. Weight micro-preemie data correctly, stop optimizing for profit." "Would you help?" "I can't code while living in a NICU." "Then we bring the work to you. Laptop, connection, whatever you need. Consultant rates." "Why?" because you see what we don't. And because he pulled out his phone, showed me a photo. Twin boys, cannulas in their noses. Mine were 27 weekers, 2 years ago. Different NICU, same algorithm. We got lucky, others didn't. That night, I sat between my daughter's incubators, laptop open, building something new. Not just code, but hope. Each corrected calculation might mean another baby who lived, another family kept whole. "What are you making, Mama?" I whispered to them. "A world where the machines tell truth, where math serves life, not loss." Eva's monitor alarmed, not crisis, just reminder to reposition. As I adjusted her, she gripped my finger. Stronger now. Still fighting, but winning more battles than losing. "Dear Eva," I wrote later. "Today you taught me that revolutions begin in NICU rooms at 3 a.m., built by mothers who refuse to accept algorithmic fate. Your existence is resistance. Your breath is rebellion." January brought snow and freedom. After 93 days, Lana came home, if a weekly motel could be called home. Eva needed another month, maybe 2, but Lana was ready. "You sure about this?" Dr. Chen asked. "Most parents are terrified to leave without monitors." "I've memorized every alarm for 3 months. I know their patterns better than any machine." Lucia had found the motel through her network, a place that didn't ask questions about credit checks or employment. The owner's granddaughter had been a preemie. He understood. 1 room, 2 beds, and a microwave, he said, showing me the space. "Not much, but clean. It's perfect." It wasn't, but it had walls and a lock and space for Lana's equipment. Zane's consulting checks covered rent and formula. The work itself, rebuilding predictive algorithms from scratch, filled the hours between feedings. I'd returned to UW part-time, online mostly, data science instead of mechanical engineering. Professor Williams, who'd remembered me from before, pulled strings for readmission. "Your transcript shows a gap," she noted during our video call. "Life happened. Life often does. Your work with MedTech, that counts as practicum credit. Between Lana's 2 a.m. feeds and Eva's hospital visits, I built not just code, but architecture. Systems that considered edge cases because my daughters were edge cases. Algorithms that valued life over statistics." "You're different," Lucia observed during one of her visits. She'd started working at a clinic. Underground networks had ways of using medical skills without licenses. Harder. Focused. "Same thing sometimes." She held Lana while I worked, humming Mexican lullabies. "What happens when Eva comes home?" "We manage." "And when MedTech wants you full-time?" "They get me remotely or not at all." The call came in February. Not MedTech, but someone else. "Ms. Nguyen? This is Sarah Chen from the Journal of Medical Informatics. Your paper on algorithmic bias in neonatal prediction models, I didn't submit a paper. Dr. Zane Crawford submitted on your behalf. With your permission, we'd like to fast-track publication." My work. In a journal. Read by people who made decisions about babies like mine. "There's a conference in March," she continued. "The keynote speaker canceled. We'd like you to present." "I can't travel. My daughter, We'll accommodate. Whatever you need." Eva came home on Valentine's Day. 4 pounds of attitude and determination. The motel room, cramped with 1 baby, became a careful dance with 2. But we were together. Finally, completely together. "Look," I whispered that first night, holding them both. "This is your sister. You shared a womb, now share a world." They slept curled toward each other, finding the rhythm they'd known inside me. March arrived with cherry blossoms and terror. The conference was in Seattle. Home advantage, but still. 300 healthcare IT professionals waiting to hear from the woman who'd found their $3 million mistake. "Wear this," Lucia said, producing a blazer from somewhere. "You look like a CEO, not a desperate mother." "I'm both." "Yes, let them see both." Backstage, I pumped milk while reviewing slides. My daughters were with Lucia, but my body kept their schedule. Every 3 hours, reminder of who I fought for. 2 minutes, the stage manager called. I looked at my phone. A message from an unknown number. "Proud of you. J. Jasper." Somehow knowing, somehow watching, I deleted it. The lights were bright, the audience invisible beyond glare. But I found my voice in the darkness. 18 months ago, an algorithm told me my daughter would die. I'm here because I refused to believe mathematics could be destiny. Slides showed Eva's initial projections, the fatal flaw, the corrected math, the lives saved. We trust machines to be neutral, but algorithms carry the biases of their creators. In healthcare, bias kills. I talked about pre-processing data, about weight factors, about feedback loops. Technical enough for the engineers, human enough for the administrators. But underneath ran the thread. My daughter lived because I wouldn't accept their truth. The revolution isn't in better code. It's in remembering that behind every data point is a heartbeat. Behind every statistical model is a mother refusing to let go. Applause erupted, standing ovation from people who never stood. But in the front row, one man remained seated, face ash gray. Jasper. Of course he was here. Of course he couldn't resist seeing what his abandonment had created. Questions came. Job offers, interview requests. I deflected all, focused on the exit, but he intercepted me backstage. Callie, I looked through him. Excuse me. Please, 5 minutes. You had 9 months. You chose $10,000. I was wrong. Yes. Can I meet them? No. They're my, nothing. They're your nothing. You signed that right away, remember? Independent resolution? His perfectly structured face crumbled. I didn't know. What? That they'd survive? That I'd survive? That abandonment could forge something stronger than your quarterly projections? That I'd love them without meeting them? Love requires presence. You chose absence. I left him there, in the fluorescent brightness of backstage. My daughters waited. My real life waited. That night, holding both girls while they slept, I opened my journal. Dear Eva and Lana, I wrote, today I spoke to rooms of brilliant people about how you lived. But the real revolution is smaller. It's in this motel room, in our shared breathing, in the choice to build rather than break. Some will call our story tragedy. We know better. We call it beginning. Time moved differently after the conference. Days blurred into debugged code and developmental milestones. Nights stretched between feedings and algorithm improvements. My daughters grew. My reputation grew faster. By their second birthday, Blueprint Health existed. Not just an idea, but incorporated reality. Zane had quit medtech to build something better. Ethical AI for healthcare sounded like buzzword bingo, but we meant it. Every algorithm tested against edge cases. Every model built assuming the most vulnerable user. We need a public face, Zane said during one of our virtual meetings. Eva played at my feet while Lana napped. Someone who speaks both languages, technical and human. So hire someone. I'm trying to. She keeps saying no. Smart woman. Callie. His voice went serious. We're about to secure Series A funding. $20 million. This could change everything. My everything already changed. In NICU beds and under bridges. Exactly why we need you. I looked at Eva, stacking blocks with determined precision. Knocking them down. Starting over. My daughter, who shouldn't have survived. Engineering her own small worlds. Part-time, remote, non-negotiable. Done? The funding came through in December. With it, implementation at 12 hospitals for pilot testing. Real NICUs using our algorithms. Real babies whose lives might pivot on our math. There's a launch event, Zane mentioned casually. Too casually. Major conference, they want you to keynote. No, Callie M. I don't do victory laps while babies are still dying from bad code. It's not victory, it's progress. Let people see what's possible. What's possible. Eva took her first independent steps that week. 18 months delayed but fierce with accomplishment. Lana cheered her on, already running despite being the smaller twin. They were possible. Everything else felt secondary. But the universe has its own algorithms. The invitation came formally, on letterhead that mattered. National Healthcare Innovation Summit. Keynote speaker. The future of ethical AI in medicine. It's in San Francisco, I told Lucia over tea. She visited weekly now, watching the girls while I worked. 3 days away from them. So bring them. To a conference? Why not? Let those tech bros see what their algorithms affect. The idea was absurd. Also perfect. I accepted with conditions. Childcare on site. Flexible timing for nursing. They agreed to everything, almost suspiciously fast. San Francisco in February meant rain and renewal. The conference hotel gleamed with corporate efficiency. My daughters, now 3, treated the lobby like a playground. Eva's careful exploration contrasted with Lana's bold charges toward every interesting corner. "Mama, look!" Lana pointed at the conference banner, my face blown up to billboard size. "That's you." "Why are you big?" Eva asked, practical as always. "Because Mama has something important to say." Registration was a blur of badges and swag bags. But something felt orchestrated. Too many familiar faces from Seattle Tech. Too many biopharma executives. And in the program, buried in sponsor listings, Genix Core. My blood chilled. I found Zane during the afternoon break. "Did you know?" He looked genuinely confused. "Know what? Jasper's company is sponsoring. This is a setup." "Callie, I swear I didn't." "Ms. Nguyen?" A young woman appeared, tablet in hand. "There's been a slight schedule change. The biopharma panel wants to go before your keynote. Mr. Cole from Genix Core specifically requested." "No, I'm sorry." "No changes. I speak when scheduled or not at all." She scurried away. Zane studied me. "Want to tell me the full story?" "No." "Okay, but whatever this is, don't let it derail what we've built." What we'd built. Blueprint's booth showed real-time data from our pilot hospitals. Mortality predictions down 30%. Intervention rates optimized. Families kept whole by better math. The girls napped in the hotel room while I revised my speech. But concentration scattered every time footsteps passed the door. He was here. Somewhere in this building, the man who'd tried to erase us walked the same halls. Evening came too fast. The ballroom filled with 800 people who moved millions with their decisions. I stood backstage, daughter's hands in mine. "You're going to sit with Aunt Lucia," I explained. "Mama needs to talk to all these people." "About us?" Eva asked. "Everything is about you, baby. You're why Mama learned to fight." The lights dimmed. My introduction played. A video of testimonials from families whose babies survived because of Blueprint. I hadn't known they were making it. Tears threatened my carefully applied makeup. Then I was walking on stage, muscle memory from a dozen smaller talks guiding me. The audience was a sea of suits and expectations. But in the front row, third seat from the aisle, him. Jasper sat with Genix Core's executive team, wearing the same expression he'd had during our last coffee. Calculating, assessing, solving for X where X was me. I found my daughters in the 5th row. Lana waved enthusiastically. Eva studied everything with those gray eyes that missed nothing. My anchors, my reasons. 3 years ago, I began, voice steady despite the earthquake inside. I was a pregnant barista with an engineering degree I couldn't use. Today, I stand here because 2 pounds of premature baby named Eva refused to accept algorithmic fate. The presentation unfolded. Technical slides interwoven with human stories. Code snippets beside NICU photos. The mathematics of survival made personal. We think disruption means breaking things, but in healthcare, disruption should mean refusing to break families. I talked about Lucia, though not by name. About bridges, literal and metaphorical. About choosing to build from ashes rather than disappearing into them. The future of ethical AI isn't in better algorithms. It's in remembering that every data point has a heartbeat. Every prediction affects a person. Every model must account for mothers who won't let go. The audience was silent. That particular silence that precedes either failure or transformation. Then Eva's voice, clear as crystal. "That's my mama!" Laughter rippled through the room. 800 executives charmed by a 3-year-old's pride. The spell broke, but in breaking became something better. Human. "Yes," I said, finding her in the crowd. "That's your mama, who learned everything important from watching you breathe." Questions came thoughtfully. But through them all, I felt Jasper's presence like pressure changes before storms. When the moderator called for final thoughts, he stood. "Ms. Nguyen," his voice carried perfectly, still skilled at commanding rooms. "Your work is impressive. But don't you think emotional decision-making in healthcare can be as dangerous as algorithmic bias?" The room held its breath. They didn't know our history, but they sensed the undercurrent. "Mr. Cole," I replied, matching his tone. "Emotion without data is dangerous, but data without emotion is deadly. I've seen both. I choose the integration of human wisdom with mathematical precision. Perhaps you'd understand if you'd ever stayed long enough to see the consequences of pure logic. Direct hit. His face flushed, but he sat. The session ended with standing ovation. But I was already moving, needing to reach my daughters before he could. Too slow. He intercepted us at the ballroom door. "Hello," he said to them, voice different, soft, broken. Nobody," I interrupted. We're leaving thing. Please." The word came strangled. "Just let me see them. You see them, now walk away, like you're good at." Lana studied him with frank curiosity. Eva pressed closer to my leg. Neither spoke. "They have my mother's eyes," he whispered. "They have their own eyes, earned by surviving what you would have prevented. I dream about them." The admission fell like stones. Every night, wonder forever. That's your consequence for choosing algorithms over humanity. I lifted Eva, took Lana's hand, and left him there. But I heard Lucia behind us, couldn't resist her own pronouncement. "You want to know them? Read their mother's code. Every line written while they slept. Every function named for their breathing. You walked away from love, boy. Now watch it change the world without you." That night, my daughters slept between me and the hotel bed. Safe, mine, ours. "Mama," Eva whispered, half asleep. "The sad man looked like me." "No, baby, you look like yourself. Beautiful and brave and completely your own." But I lay awake knowing she was right. Gray eyes and sharp cheekbones would follow them. Questions would come. Someday I'd have to explain how love could wear $10,000 suits and still be worthless. How abandonment could forge strength. How their existence was resistance. Not tonight. Tonight, we were complete in our small universe. Blueprint growing beyond us. Lives saved by refusing to disappear. Tomorrow would bring new code, new challenges, new chances to build from ashes. But tonight, listening to my daughters breathe in synchrony, I was exactly where algorithms couldn't reach, in the messy, beautiful, incalculable space of enough. The videos went viral before we reached Seattle. 3-year-old disrupts tech conference. Blueprint CEO's daughter steals show. Eva's crystal voice claiming me became the soundbite that launched 1,000 think pieces. "You're internet famous," Zane laughed during our Monday call. "Engagement up 3,000%. I didn't want..." "I know, but Callie, look at the applications. 16 new hospitals wanting our system. That's hundreds of babies. Hundreds of babies." I watched my own play. Lana teaching Eva a clapping game, both giggling at their own mistakes. How many mothers sat in NICUs right now, being told their children wouldn't make it based on flawed math? "Schedule the implementations," I said. "But I'm not doing media." "About that." "Zane, one interview, just one, with someone who understands." The someone turned out to be Dr. Patricia Morehouse, the researcher who'd first published about algorithmic bias in medicine. She came to Seattle, met us at the aquarium because the girls loved the octopus exhibit. "Off the record first," she said while my daughters pressed noses to glass. "I need to know, the father in that viral moment is nobody. Nobody with significant Genix Core shares and a newly announced medical AI division." My stomach turned. "He's copying Blueprint?" "Trying to. But his team lacks something." She smiled. "They lack someone who coded while pumping breast milk at 3 a.m. Turns out that perspective matters." The interview was gentle, but thorough. She drew out details I'd never shared publicly. The bridge, Lucia's help, the nights I'd considered giving up. "But you didn't?" she said. "What made you keep going?" Eva chose that moment to run over, grabbing my hand. "Mama, the octopus is hiding." "Sometimes we hide when we're scared," I told her. "But we can't hide forever." "Why not?" "Because then nobody sees how beautiful we are when we're brave." Patricia smiled. "I think you just gave me my headline." The article ran in Wired. "Beautiful when brave. How one mother's refusal to disappear is revolutionizing healthcare AI." It was everywhere. My phone exploded with messages, opportunities, invasions. And then a registered letter. Genix Core's legal letterhead. My hands shook opening it, expecting threats, custody claims, something to shatter our peace. Instead, Ms. Nguyen, Genix Core wishes to acquire Blueprint Health for $180 million. Terms include your continued leadership and full autonomy. This is not negotiable. Without you, there is no value. Please consider. J. Cole, CEO. I laughed. Actually laughed until tears came. He wanted to buy what his abandonment had created. The irony was algorithmic in its precision. Absolutely not, I told Zane. Callie, that's life-changing money. My life already changed. Under a bridge, in a NICU, every time they breathe. I won't sell their breath back to the man who tried to stop it. The board will want to consider. The board can find another unicorn to chase. Blueprint stays independent, or I walk. You'd really walk away from that money? I walked away from him with nothing. This time I'd be walking with everything that matters. The refusal made news too. Blueprint spurns $180 acquisition. Tech Twitter exploded with hot takes about emotion versus economics. But other messages came too. From mothers who'd sat in NICUs. From doctors who'd made decisions based on bad data. From daughters whose fathers had deemed them solvable problems. Genix Core's stock dipped. Investors questioned Jasper's judgment. Why pursue a company whose founder publicly rejected you? Why chase what clearly wanted distance? His response came via another channel, a donation to the Ashlight Foundation, the nonprofit I'd started for single mothers in STEM. 7 figures, anonymous but traceable. He's trying to buy forgiveness, Lucia said over tea. She'd become Ashlight's unofficial coordinator, connecting women with resources. Men like that think everything has a price. Let him donate. Those women need support more than I need the satisfaction of refusing. You've grown wise, Miha. No, just tired of letting him matter. But he did matter in ways I couldn't control. As the girls grew, questions sharpened. Eva, especially with her engineer's mind, noticed patterns. Why don't we have a daddy? She asked one night during stories. Some families have mommies and daddies. Some have 2 mommies or 2 daddies. Some have grandparents. We have Mama and Aunt Lucia and each other. But where is he? I'd prepared for this. Sometimes people help make babies but aren't ready to be parents. He wasn't ready. Will he be ready someday? I don't know, baby. But we're ready for everything, aren't we? She nodded, satisfied for now. But I knew harder questions would come. They came sooner than expected. I was reviewing code while the girls played in our new apartment. Blueprint success meant real bedrooms, a kitchen that wasn't a hot plate, when Lana called out, Mama, there's a man outside looking sad. My blood chilled. Through the window, Jasper stood on the sidewalk below, not approaching, just standing, looking up at lit windows like a calculation he couldn't solve. Girls, go play in your room. But Mama! Now, I went downstairs. He looked older. Success hadn't been kind. The lines around his eyes spoke of boards questioning judgment, of chasing what money couldn't buy. You can't be here. I know, I needed to see. See what? What you threw away doing fine without you? See what I could have had if I'd been human instead of an algorithm. Pretty words. 3 years too late. I know. He pulled out an envelope. I'm stepping down from Genix Core. The acquisition pressure came from the board, not me. This explains things. For them, someday. When you think it's right. A letter? You think a letter fixes? Nothing fixes it. But they deserve to know I know what I lost. That every decision I made after was shadowed by the wrongness of that first one. They deserve a father. You chose to be a sperm donor. Yes. Simple agreement. No defense. I did. And I wake up every day knowing 2 brilliant girls exist without knowing my mother's lullabies or my father's terrible jokes or any piece of history that might help them understand themselves. They understand themselves fine. They're complete without your history. I know. That's the miracle. That's what I dream about. Not what I lost, but what you built despite me. A car pulled up. His driver. Even in penance, he traveled in luxury. Don't come here again. I won't. But Callie? He turned at the car door. That algorithm you fixed. It wasn't the only broken thing in my company. Or my life. You debugged more than code. You showed me I'd been solving for the wrong variables all along. He left. I stood on the sidewalk holding his letter, watching taillights disappear. Upstairs, 2 faces pressed against glass, watching. Was that the sad man? Ava asked when I returned. Yes. Is he still sad? I thought about algorithms and abandonment, about building from ashes. about choosing revolution over revenge. Probably, but that's his story. Ours is different. What's our story? I pulled them close. These miracles who'd survived prediction and abandonment and my own inexperience. Our story is about being beautiful when brave, about building universes from empty spaces, about proving wrong every algorithm that says we shouldn't exist. I like our story, Lana decided. Me too, Eva agreed. But can we add a dog? I laughed. We can add anything. That's the magic of building your own blueprint. That night, after they slept, I put Jasper's letter in a safe deposit box. Someday they'd choose whether to read it, but tonight we were complete in our constructed family, our chosen loves, our algorithmic resistance to disappearance. Tomorrow, Blueprint would save more babies. Ashlight would lift more mothers. My daughters would grow more brilliant and bold. But tonight, I sat in the glow of their nightlight and wrote, "Dear Universe, thank you for the ashes. Look what we built." 5 years later, I stood in Blueprint's new headquarters, all glass and light, designed to never let anyone feel trapped in dark corners. The wall displayed real-time statistics: 1,847 babies saved, 423 hospitals integrated, lives altered by algorithms that assumed survival, not surrender. "Mama, can we use this big computer?" Eva, now 8, pulled at my hand. She and Lana had their own workstation in my office. Nothing fancy, just space to be near while I worked. To see that empires could be built between school pickups and bedtime stories. "After the interview," I promised. "Remember what we practiced? Don't interrupt unless someone's dying," Lana recited, "but ask good questions after." This interview mattered, not media. I'd learned to deflect those. But a documentary about women rebuilding after crisis. They wanted our story, the whole truth. The filmmaker, Marcus, had spent weeks earning trust. He'd interviewed Lucia, now Blueprint's director of community outreach. Zane, whose twins were thriving at 5. Even some of the families whose babies had survived because of our algorithms. "Ready when you are," Marcus said, cameras rolling. I told it all. The conference coffee that started everything. The $10,000 to disappear. The bridge, the NICU. The nights I'd considered surrendering. But also the code written while pumping milk. The algorithm errors found through desperation. The choice to build rather than break. The fairy tale would end with forgiveness, I said. But this isn't a fairy tale. It's blueprints and breathing. I don't forgive the abandonment. I thank it. Without that destruction, I'd never have discovered I could create. Do your daughters know their father? They know of him. That's different from knowing someone. Has he tried to reconnect? Once. But reconnection requires initial connection. We were never connected. I was a bug in his code and he was a lesson in how love can wear expensive suits and still be worthless. That's harsh. No, harsh was choosing algorithms over heartbeats. This is just truth. After, the girls peppered Marcus with questions about camera angles and story structure. Eva wanted to understand the technical side. Lana was fascinated by narrative choices. "Will people cry watching?" Lana asked. "Probably," Marcus admitted. "Good," Eva decided. "Mama says crying means feelings are working properly." That evening, as Seattle rain painted patterns on our windows, I found an email waiting. The sender made me pause. Senator Morrison, Jasper's former almost mother-in-law. "Ms. Nguyen, I've followed Blueprint's work with interest. My daughter was lucky. She saw through Jasper before binding her life to his. You weren't given that chance. I'm hosting a fundraiser for women in technology next month. Would you consider speaking? Not about him, but about building after burning. About choosing construction over collapse." I almost deleted it. But something in her words, building after burning, resonated. I accepted. The fundraiser was everything tech money could buy. Crystal and causes, wealth wielded for good. Senator Morrison introduced me with grace. "We often celebrate phoenixes," she said, "birds that rise from ashes. But tonight, we honor an architect. Someone who didn't just rise but rebuilt. Who turned abandonment into algorithm, heartbreak into healthcare revolution." I spoke about single mothers coding while children slept. About brilliance interrupted by biology but not erased. About Ashlight now supporting 200 women through STEM degrees. We don't need fairy godmothers. I concluded. We need childcare and compiler access. We don't need princes. We need programming languages and peer support. The donations that night funded 50 more scholarships. But better were the women who approached after, some with babies on hips, others with degrees deferred, all with stories of almost disappearing. "You saved my daughter," one said, tears streaming. "The NICU algorithm. They wanted to withdraw care. But your system showed she could survive. She's 3 now. Perfect." This was Empire. Weeks later, preparing for Blueprint's 5th anniversary gala, Zane brought concerning news. Genix Core filed patents, similar to our early work but different enough to avoid infringement. Let them. Patents aren't implementation. They still can't replicate what matters. Which is? Perspective. Every line of our code was written by people who've been told their edge cases. You can't fake that viewpoint. Speaking of viewpoint, he hesitated. Jasper sent something for the gala. A check, 7 figures, and a note for Ashlight. No strings, no recognition needed. Just let it help someone build. Cash it, I decided. Money has no memory. It can be cleansed by good use. The gala was Blueprint at its best. Not corporate polish, but human celebration. Families whose babies beat algorithmic odds. Mothers who'd coded through chaos. My girls, in dresses they'd chosen themselves. Eva's blue and serious. Lana's rainbow chaos. Greeting guests like tiny diplomats. "You built this," Lucia said, finding me during a quiet moment. "We built this. All of us." "No, mija. Others helped. But you architected. From that first night under the bridge, you were building, even when it looked like collapse." Dr. Chen spoke, showing slides of the babies who'd survived. Dr. Martinez, now Blueprint's chief medical officer, presented our latest breakthrough, predicting complications before symptoms appeared. But the moment that mattered came from Eva and Lana. They'd prepared a presentation, my daughters, 8 years old, explaining their emotion detection algorithm to 500 healthcare executives. "Computers are good at math," Eva began seriously, "but feelings are harder. So we're teaching them," Lana added. "Like Mama taught computers that small babies matter." They showed their prototype, facial recognition that could detect pain in nonverbal patients. Rough, basic, but the logic was sound. My daughters, building their own blueprints. The room erupted. Not polite applause, but genuine awe. Later, VCs would approach about their startup potential. I'd deflect them all. Let them be 8. Let them build for joy, not valuation. "That was incredible," a voice said behind me. I turned to find a young woman, familiar but not. "I'm Emma," she said. "Emma Cole, Jasper's sister." My body tensed. She raised her hands. "I'm not here for him. I'm here because I'm pregnant, alone. My family wants me to handle it quietly. Your story gave me courage to handle it loudly." "It's terrifying," I told her honestly, "but terrible things can become foundation." "Will you?" She hesitated. "Would you mentor me? Not because of him, in spite of him." I thought of cycles and choices, of empires built on ashes, of algorithms that could encode compassion or abandonment. "Come to Ashlight," I said. "We'll help you build." The gala ended with my girls asleep in their chairs, surrounded by the empire we'd created. Not from spite, but from spite transformed. Not just code, but community. Not just survival, but systems that ensured others would survive too. In my office that night, updating code while Seattle slept, I wrote, "Final log. They asked how I built an empire from empty hands." Wrong question. My hands were never empty. They held heartbeats. Everything else was just translation, from Pulse to Python, from NICU alarms to algorithms, from abandonment to architecture. The empire isn't the company or code. It's my daughters dreaming in the next room. It's 1,847 babies breathing. It's mothers who won't disappear. It's proof that the best blueprints are drawn on napkins at 3 a.m., stained with tears and coffee, signed with exhaustion and love. From ashes? No. From heartbeats. From breath. From the beautiful audacity of existing when algorithms suggest you shouldn't. We didn't rise from ashes. We revealed ashes were always stardust. And from stardust, you can build universes.